The strap's torn again. Third time this year. You picked up the tape holding it together this morning, standing at the counter, coffee going cold behind you. You didn't fix it. You never do. You just close the wallet and put it back down like it's going to heal on its own. It was never just a wallet. This thing has been in your pocket for 6 years. Every 20 you've ever pulled out. Every receipt you shoved in and forgot about. Every time you opened it slowly. Hoping the number inside had changed since yesterday. It hadn't. Not usually. You keep saying you'll replace it. Not today. Not this month either, probably. Funny thing about a wallet like this, it doesn't hold your money. Not really. It holds your decisions. Every single one. The good ones, the ones you'd rather forget, all of it, sitting in the same cracked leather. You don't know it yet, but by the end of this, you'll understand exactly what this wallet's been watching. Tuesday night. You're on the couch, wallet still sitting on the counter where you left it. Your phone buzzes. Odillis, she lives 2 doors down. You've talked to her maybe 4 times total in 2 years, mostly about trash day. Tonight she's posted a story. New patio furniture. A fire pit, the kind with a glass wind guard so the flame doesn't blow out. String lights strung between 2 posts that weren't there last week. You watch it once, then again. You don't decide to feel anything. It just shows up. Quiet. Uninvited. Sits in your chest for a second before you can name it. You tell yourself you don't care about patios. That's mostly true. But it happens fast, faster than you'd admit out loud. You open a delivery app. Pizza place around the corner. You weren't hungry 20 minutes ago. You are now. The scroll moves faster than the question ever could. Faster than, do I actually want this? Faster than anything you'd call a decision. You go to the wallet for cash. Habit, even though you could have just tapped a card, and there's a 20 in there, folded twice. Last one. You pull it out and set it by the door. 40 minutes later, you're eating pizza you didn't plan for, thinking about a fire pit that isn't yours. It was never about the patio. You've never once thought about fire pits before tonight. What you wanted, for about 6 seconds of scrolling, was to not feel behind. Pizza was just the fastest thing you could buy that felt like catching up. It didn't work. It never does. The comparison didn't happen because Odillis did anything to you. She just posted a picture of her on Tuesday. Your brain reads it as a scoreboard anyway. And scoreboards demand a response, even when there's no game being played. So you respond. $20. A small closing of a gap that was never real. You put the empty box on the counter, next to the wallet. 2 things are sitting there now. Neither one says anything about the fire pit. You go to bed not thinking about the $20. It didn't feel like spending. It felt like responding to something you couldn't name and didn't choose. The wallet's a little lighter tomorrow morning. You don't check by how much. Saturday. The laundromat on 5th smells like fabric softener and hot metal. You're in the plastic chair by the window, waiting on the dryer, and you've got 40 minutes with nothing to do. You pull a receipt out of your pocket. Laundry detergent, from 3 weeks ago. Blank on the back. You start writing numbers on it. Not because you planned to. Just, you're bored, and the pen was already in your bag. Rent. Groceries. The gym you go to maybe twice a month. You add it up in your head first, then on paper because your head keeps giving you a different number each time. Then you open your banking app to check something small, whether a deposit cleared, and you see a line you've scrolled past 100 times without reading it. Monthly maintenance fee. $7. You stop. $7 a month. You do the math right there, on the receipt. $84 a year. You've had this account for 4 years, $336. You sit with that number longer than you'd like to admit. It's not even the amount that gets you. $336 isn't nothing, but it's not what stops you cold. What stops you is this. You never once decided to pay it. Nobody sat you down and said, "This is the cost of holding your money here." It just started happening quietly the month you opened the account, and it kept happening every month after. You never noticed, because $7 doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel like spending. It feels like nothing. Like weather. The dryer buzzes, you don't get up right away, you start scrolling further back. Other things you've paid for without choosing to. A trial you forgot to cancel is gone now, but it ran for 5 months before you caught it. An app subscription renewed itself twice before you noticed the charge. None of these were decisions. That's what you keep landing on. A decision is something you make once, on purpose, with your eyes open. This wasn't that. This was just absence. The absence of you ever showing up to say no. You call the bank 2 days later, sitting in your car in a parking lot because there's a way to waive the fee if your balance stays above a certain number, or if you set up a direct deposit a certain way, takes 11 minutes on hold. Then, 4 minutes talking to someone named Priyanka, who sounds tired but fixes it without making you feel stupid for asking. Fee's gone. Just like that. You hang up and sit there for a second, keys in your lap, not driving anywhere yet. Not pride, exactly. Something quieter settles in. Like you'd been carrying a small stone in your shoe for 4 years, and just now noticed you could take it out. The strange part is how normal it had felt. That's the real lesson from the laundromat, more than the number itself. The costs that hurt you least in the moment are usually the ones that last the longest, because nothing about them ever asks for your attention. They don't feel like bills, they feel like background noise. You fold the receipt in half and put it in the wallet. Not because you need it, you just don't want to lose the number yet. $336. For nothing. For 4 years of not looking, you drive home with the laundry still warm in the back seat, thinking about how many other small, quiet things might be sitting in that account, waiting for you to finally read the fine print. Thursday morning, you open the cabinet under the kitchen sink to grab the trash bags and your socks land in a puddle. Not a big puddle. Enough to know something's wrong. Theo crouches down next to you, flashlight from his phone pointed at the pipe joint behind the garbage disposal. There's a slow drip, steady, like a clock that only ticks when nobody's watching. "We should call someone," he says. "You already know that." You're just doing the math before you say yes. The plumber comes out that afternoon. A guy named Desmond works alone, drives a van with a ladder strapped to the roof. He's under the sink for maybe 6 minutes before he stands back up. Corroded joint. I can replace it today. Then the number. $290. Not catastrophic, not nothing either. You and Theo split rent evenly, always have. Feels fair on paper. Same apartment, same lease, same door. But your paycheck and his paycheck aren't the same. Haven't been for a while. He makes more, not a lot more, but enough that 290 split in half hits different for each of you. He pulls out his phone to Venmo you half before Desmond's even packed his tools back in the van. "Just split it," he says. Like it's obvious. You go quiet for a second, longer than you mean to. "Can we talk about that?" He looks up. Not annoyed, just surprised you'd bring it up over a pipe. What you actually say, once you find the words, is this. You're not asking him to pay more because you deserve a break. You're asking because half of $290 costs you something different from what it costs him. Same number, different weight. He sits with that for a second, back against the cabinet, screwdriver still in his hand. "So what? I pay more because I make more." "Not more than fair," you say. "Just the same amount of ouch, not the same dollar figure." You do the math together, right there on the kitchen floor, phone calculator open. Not 50-50. Something closer to 60-40, based on what actually comes home each month after everything else. Neither of you has done this before. It's an uncomfortable conversation, the kind couples usually avoid because splitting evenly feels simpler, feels fairer, feels like it doesn't require anyone to say the quiet part. But it only feels fair when the amounts underneath are actually even. Desmond leaves with a check. You and Theo sit on the kitchen floor a minute longer, water shut back on, socks still slightly damp on the mat. "We should have had this conversation before now," Theo says. You don't disagree. This isn't really about the pipe. The pipe's fixed. What's different is smaller and stranger. The two of you found a way to talk about money without one person feeling stingy and the other feeling punished. That's rarer than people admit. Most couples don't fight about money because of the amount. They fight because nobody agreed out loud on what fair actually means for the two people standing in that specific kitchen. You didn't solve everything that afternoon, You solved one pipe and one conversation you'd both been avoiding without knowing it. That night, you write the ratio down on a sticky note and put it on the fridge. Not because you'll always need it, just so the next time something breaks, you don't have to find the words all over again. Junie calls on a Sunday, voice happy and tired at once. "It's a girl," she says. "Showers in 3 weeks. You mean every word you say back. Your little sister, first kid. This one actually lands, not the scroll past kind." A few nights later, you're on the registry site at 11, and the happy part gets quieter. Everyone else has bought big, a stroller system, reserved, a nursery glider, gone. What's left is $30 burp cloths and a diaper pail. You don't want to be the aunt who got the diaper pail. There's a crib mobile near the top. $210. Not reserved yet. You don't have that sitting free right now. Rent's due in 6 days. But there's a button. 4 payments, 0 interest, 6 weeks. Your thumb's already moving before you've decided anything. You stop. Not over the interest, there isn't any. Over a smaller question. Would I still want this if nobody else were watching? You sit with that for a minute, phone light the only thing on in the room. You're not scared of Junie thinking less of you. You're scared of some cousin at the gift table doing quiet math about your name. That's not love. That's an audience. And love doesn't need a payment plan to outbid a stranger. You close the tab. You call Junie instead. What do you actually need? Not what's left on the list. Turns out it's not a mobile. It's someone to handle groceries and dishes the week after the baby's born, because her mom flies in late and she's terrified of those first days alone. You block off 4 days on your calendar. No argument. You still bring the burp cloths to the shower. Nobody there remembers what anyone gave. You remember 3 weeks later, standing in Junie's kitchen at 7 in the morning, doing dishes while she finally sleeps. That part never had a price on any registry. Lunch break, Wednesday. You're at the table in the break room with Nadia, both of you eating out of containers that used to hold something else. She's scrolling her phone, not really looking at it, just needing somewhere to put her eyes while she talks. "I found out something dumb," she says. "Last year, I didn't put anything into the retirement thing. Not $1. You nod, not really following yet. "Company matches up to 4%, she says. "Free money. I just never signed up. Nobody explained it. There was an email, but I never opened it." You go quiet for a second, because you haven't opened that email either. Not this year. Not last year. You've deleted the same subject line every October without reading past the first word. Open enrollment. You always figured it was for people who understood spreadsheets, people older than you, people who had their stuff together in a way you hadn't gotten to yet. That night, you actually open it. Third paragraph in, there's a line you read twice because it doesn't sound real the first time. Your company matches dollar for dollar, up to 4% of your pay. You do the math on your phone, right there on the couch. 4% of what you make. Then you look at that number again, because the company adds the same amount on top for free. Just for putting your own money in. You've never once been offered money like this by anyone with a job title. You've been contributing 0% since you started. 2 years. You do the math on that too, and it stings a little more than the $7 from the laundromat did. You bump it up to 4% that same night, before you can talk yourself into waiting until January, into starting fresh later, into whatever excuse usually wins these arguments. That's the part that gets you. Lying there afterward. It wasn't a financial advisor who told you this. It wasn't a parent or a class you took or some article you read on purpose. It was Nadia complaining at lunch over a lukewarm container of leftover rice. The most useful piece of money advice you got all year came wrapped in a complaint nobody meant as a lesson. That's usually how it happens if you're honest. The big stuff, the stuff that actually changes numbers, rarely shows up dressed as advice. It shows up as somebody else's regret, said out loud at the wrong moment, and you happen to be sitting close enough to hear it. You mention it to Nadia the next day. Tell her you signed up too. She laughs, not entirely happy about it. Wish someone had told me 2 years ago. Someone did. You say, you just told yourself. Out loud, at lunch. She doesn't really answer that. goes back to her phone. A few weeks later, her contribution's gone up too. Sunday afternoon, you and Theo are at the kitchen table, laptop open between you, the sticky note from the pipe still stuck to the fridge behind him. We should just get one account, Theo says, for everything. You don't love that idea. Not because you don't trust him, you do. It's something smaller than trust. You like having a little bit of money that's just yours, that doesn't need a conversation attached to it before you spend it. What if we don't do everything, you say? What if we do some things? You open a new account together that afternoon, not instead of your own accounts alongside them. Rent goes in there, utilities, groceries. The stuff that's genuinely shared, that both your names are on either way. Everything else stays separate. His paycheck minus his share goes to his account. Yours does the same. You set the percentages using the same ratio from the sticky note. 60-40, the number you found on the kitchen floor the day the pipe broke. Feels strange putting a plumbing conversation to work like this, but it fits. Direct deposit splits automatically now. A slice into the shared account first before either of you sees the rest of it. What's left lands in your own accounts, no conversation required. The first month, you don't check it much. Bills get paid. Nobody argues about who covered what, because nobody had to remember to cover anything. Second month, something smaller happens and it takes you a while to notice it. You stop feeling resentful. That surprises you actually, once you catch it. Before this, every time you paid more than half of something, the pipe, a grocery run when Theo's card declined for some reason, there was a small flicker of keeping score. Not big. Just there, quiet, sitting under the surface. The automatic split doesn't ask you to trust Theo more than you already did. It just removes the moment where trust would have had to happen manually, every single time, forever. It's kind of nice not talking about money every week, Theo says one night, doing dishes. We still talk about it, you say. Just bigger stuff now, not who owes who $9 from Target. He laughs at that because it's true. Small money conversations used to eat up more oxygen than the big ones ever did. Whose turn to buy toilet paper? Who covered the Uber last time? All of it small, all of it exhausting in a way neither of you noticed until it stopped. The part that's easy to miss if you're only counting dollars is this. The system didn't just organize your money. It organized something between the two of you. A category of small friction that used to show up weekly, quietly wearing down whatever was underneath it. You didn't automate a marriage. You're not even engaged yet. But you automated the one part of living together that used to cost you something every single week, without either of you calling it a cost. The sticky note stays on the fridge. Neither of you takes it down. Late February tax season, and you're doing your return at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that's gone cold twice already. You're not looking for anything specific, just moving through the forms, box by box, the way you do every year, half paying attention, mind somewhere else. Then you hit the section for investment income, a number sitting there that you didn't type in. It pulled automatically from the brokerage account. $1,420. You stare at it for a second, not because it's huge, it's not huge, but you don't remember the last time you actually looked at that account. Not really looked. You set up the contribution over a year ago. Small, automatic, the same amount every payday, and then you just stop checking. Not out of avoidance, out of something closer to forgetting it was even a thing you were doing. $1,420. That's what it made. On its own. While you were doing dishes, arguing gently with Theo about the shared account, standing in Junie's kitchen at 7 in the morning. You didn't do anything for that money. That's the part that sits strangely in your chest. You didn't work an extra shift for it. You didn't skip a dinner out. It just grew quietly in the background while your attention was somewhere else entirely. What actually catches you off guard, more than the number itself, is this. You used to check that account every few days. Back when you first opened it. Refreshing it like it might say something different if you looked hard enough. You haven't looked in months. And nothing bad happened because of that. The account didn't need you watching it to keep doing its job. It just ran. The way the shared account runs, the way the 4% match runs. quietly adding its own 4% on top, every single pay period, whether you're thinking about it or not. You let that sit for a while, cursor blinking on the next form field. Somewhere in the last year, you stopped being the kind of person who needs to check. Not because you got lazy about your money, because you built something that didn't need supervising anymore. That's a strange kind of progress. Nobody claps for it. There's no number on a screen that says, "Congratulations, you finally trust the system you built." It just shows up as an absence. The absence of checking. The absence of that small flutter of anxiety you used to feel when opening the app. The real return this year isn't the $1,420. It's that you didn't need to know about it to feel like things were okay. You finish the return a little after 10. Close the laptop. The coffee's cold again, and you drink it anyway, because it's there, and you're tired and it doesn't matter. Somewhere behind you, on the counter, the wallet sits where it always sits. You haven't needed cash from it in weeks. New hire starts on a Monday. 22 years old, my name's Soraya, sits 2 desks down now. First paycheck lands that Friday. You can tell by her face before she even says anything. That specific look of checking a number under the table during a meeting you're supposed to be paying attention to. After work, she catches you by the elevator. "Can I ask you something dumb?" Nothing's dumb at this stage. How do you not just spend it, like, all of it, right away? She laughs, embarrassed. "I already almost bought shoes I don't need on the walk to my car." You think about the patio, the pizza. $20 gone before you'd even asked yourself why. You don't give her a speech. Speeches don't stick the way a Tuesday night alone with a receipt does. You go home instead and open the drawer by the stairs. The old wallet's still there, strap torn, tape holding the last piece together, retired but never thrown out. You bring it to work the next day, set it on Soraya's desk without much explanation. "It's kind of falling apart," she says, turning it over. "Carried it 6 years." You shrug. Every dumb decision, every good one, that thing was there for all of it. She opens it, mostly out of politeness. There's no cash inside. Just one folded receipt, gone soft at the crease, ink faded but still legible if you look close. $336. Written in your own handwriting on the back of a laundry receipt from a Saturday you don't fully remember anymore. "What's this?" "A fee I paid for 4 years without noticing," you say. "I kept it so I wouldn't forget how easy it is to not look." She folds it back the way she found it. Doesn't say anything for a second. "One Tuesday at a time," you tell her, mostly to yourself. That's all any of it ever is. She doesn't fully get it yet. That's fine. You didn't either, not at 22, not with a paycheck that still felt like it belonged to whoever spent it first. She'll find her own version. Her own patio. Her own pipe under some sink. She almost throws away her own receipt and doesn't. You go back to your desk. New wallet in your pocket, plain, no tears in it yet, still smells like the store. It'll get its own stories eventually. They all do. Behind you, on Soraya's desk, the old one sits a while longer. Then she puts the receipt back inside it, zips it shut, and puts it in her bag. She doesn't know yet what she's about to watch.